Hello everyone, welcome. My name is MJ Pestridge. Welcome to another P3D video. Today, this is an introduction to a new series that will be coming out, 6-part series, where I'm going to take you step by step, kind of like a directory of P3D, how to get the best out of P3D. I'm going to be basically looking at the hardware that it's run on, what is the best hardware, the software, the Windows 10 installation, how to prep that. We're also going to go through the purchase step by step and the installation and making sure that you prep your PC for the installation. Going to be talking about the landscape and the world that P3D and what do you actually get with P3D. Going to be looking at the airplanes, the airports, the utilities, the weather options, all in the next series of videos covering everything. This series is really designed for a newcomer. If you're just getting into P3D, what do you want to spend your money on? It's actually quite a complicated answer because it depends on what kind of pilot you're going to be. So finding out what kind of pilot you're going to be really will dictate how you use your sim, how you spend your money. You know, there are so many add-ons for P3D. It has a whole legacy behind it coming from the Microsoft Flight Simulator X, or FSX as it's known, and a lot of those add-ons can be utilized in version 5. So there is actually hundreds of add-ons that you really have to filter through before you find the ones that you want. And you'll find that a lot of people will use add-ons kind of almost out of routine now, where they, oh, I've always used this add-on, might not actually benefit the sim. Version 5, and we're talking, you know, currently at the recording of this video, 5.3, is very updated and is actually does more at its default level than I think people realize and understand. It's such a flexible sim. You know, there is no real one way to run this sim. You're not locked into having to update it when the updates come out. You can really utilize this sim for the kind of sim you want to build. If you are a commercial airliner lover and you want to fly at 42,000 feet, you know, you're not really going to be that worried about updating the textures of the buildings down below because you're not actually going to see them. You know, you're going to be more interested in like the weather programs and the aspects of what's going on with perhaps simulating passengers and stuff like that. And at the same time, if you are a VFR flyer, if you like to fly low and slow, man, you ain't going to really care that much about the weather above you because you're going to be flying quite low and weather will still be happening, but you know, it's not a lot more of a primary concern than commercial airliners say. Although actually it kind of is actually, but VFR flying has its own sort of, you're more really going to be focused on the landscape, making sure those rivers and those lakes and those roads are in the correct place because you're going to be flying, you know, trying to find a motorway or trying to find a certain town, and you really are more looking for accuracy of the landscape. So I don't think a lot of people realize how flexible P3D actually is. It really, there is no one way to run the sim. You know, you kind of run it to the way you want to run it, and therefore there is no correct way to run it. A lot of people argue about this is the best thing for P3D, this is the best way to do P3D, and actually everyone is correct because it's designed to be flexible. It's a scenario-based sim, so it allows you to set up scenarios for yourself. Rather than flights, that you can define what goes on in the parameters of that flight, of that scenario, and it really kind of run that way. It also really depends on the environment that it's running. So like Windows, what is your best way to set up Windows? Because there is so much on Windows 10 that actually causes problems in P3D. A lot of people will say, oh, just leave Windows to do its thing. And actually you'll find that it's the common cause of stutters or slow loading in the sim or even crashes of your simulator. Also, the hardware that it's connected to is really dependent on how well you're going to be able to run your sim with no no issues. And that's what this series is really designed for, to give you the best chance to run your sim with no issues, or at least minimize those issues. Because another thing to know is that this sim has evolved from the year like 2009, you know, from FSX being a 32-bit sim. It's now evolved into a 64-bit sim using the core same engine really as the FSX simulator, and being redefined. And so you'll find that it can be quite temperamental against newer technologies like hardware and stuff like that. So AMD versus Nvidia, or Intel versus Radeon and all that, you know, it's like it really does matter what hardware you're running on. So if you're new to P3D, or if you're just kind of curious and you kind of want to update your knowledge on how to minimize problems in the sim, or if you're kind of wondering where is the best place to get the best airports, the best airplanes, well, let's get started. Let's dive straight into this series step by step. In the next video, we're going to be looking at the software and the hardware and the purchase of P3D, and we're going to go through step by step in every single video. So let's get started.